Okay, fifth grade team, here is Number Corner in a nutshell. This is October. This is the gist here. You have some measuring happening for Calendar Collector, and then we have those different views of those 3D cubic shapes. I go into more depth down here. So you have Calendar Grid. Here is an introduction into what's going to happen for the Calendar Grid markers if you want to make use of this page. As they start seeing these and they're like, what is happening in these markers? A great website to make use of to build some of these sculptures. You can take a look at this Cube Block Toy Theater site where when I go on, I can build any structure I want with cubes. So I'm going to go ahead and start over. And you can just play around with this. If I touch outside of it, I can move it around and then touch a face and it builds onto it. See how I can build those structures, so it's cool. Then Steve, a great mathematician, has an amazing resource called Cube Conversations that's similar to what you're doing in the Calendar Grid. Go ahead, you can click on it, scroll through, and find some really cool activities you could do instead of just using your Calendar Grid markers. If I scroll down, you can watch a little 8-minute video on it, and then see all these lessons he has made for you to use at your convenience. If I keep scrolling down for Calendar Grid, if you haven't ever done this one, this is how your October thing should be set up. It would look like this, and see how these pockets, you don't even have anything in it yet. Because once I go and flip over the first one, the second one, the third one, then I'm going to go up here to these 4 letters, Q, R, S, and V, and say, okay, if I know the top view is this, the right side view is this, the front view is this, which one is it? And then they would pick which letter would go with it. Then this makes more sense because once you pull the letter V, this letter V for day number 4 on Saturday, then you would replace it with the letter L from your Calendar Grid markers. So you just keep going through like this through the month. Once you do get to a letter, you're calculating the volume of what you're looking at and how many cubes it actually took. Of course, there's different ways to get that volume, so that's the whole point of doing this, to come up with different expressions that represent that same volume, that same amount. So you would circle all those cubes, all those middle cubes, all those last cubes, gives us 18 cubic units. Or we could go from the side and get it that way. Or, so there's so many different expressions you can write, which makes it so fun. And that's coming from the Cube Conversations above that you could make use of from that website I showed you. So there it is at the end. And if you want some practice pages to go with it from Bridges, there they are. So that's Calendar Grid. If you keep on scrolling, another component of Number Corner is Calendar Collector. This one's great because you're collecting masses of 2 carrots that you're going to leave out and see what happens. So here is the experiment briefly explained and some questions to ask the class as you start it. And here's the procedure you would do every day. And then here is your observation chart and then the graph that kids would fill in with you to see what is happening with the mass of those carrots. So the PDFs for those are right here. There's also some practice pages of one that's already done. So that's a fun experiment, especially getting out your scale and getting more experiences with mass. Some questions to ask as you're doing that over the month are here if you want to make use of any of those. Computational fluency, another component of Number Corner. This month is writing and evaluating expressions that have parentheses. So parentheses are very important symbol. So the PDFs for the activities I'm going to explain below are right here. So the first PDF has you introducing parentheses. You're giving them an expression like 8 plus 3 times 3 minus 1, and then having kids solve it and hoping that you get some different answers. And saying, oh, well, you added first. Okay, let me use parentheses to show that's what you did first. And then you took that and you multiplied it by 3. So that would be this one down here where they got an answer of 32. So you're purposely putting in those parentheses to show in what order they solved the problem. Or maybe they worked through the subtraction and then they did the multiplication, and then they added on 8 more. So that's this last one down here with the parentheses to get an answer of 14. If they are not coming up with different answers, this is you saying, oh my gosh, well, let's solve it a different way. And notice, oh my gosh, if we go out of order, we're actually getting different answers. So when we have different operations, we need to be careful and we need to make use of parentheses. Or if parentheses are there, we need to follow what it says. So now in another activity, we come to actually practicing this and proving our work with our parentheses. And then there's a game to go with it. I have the PDFs for that game in here, and the directions for the game are in there too for grouping symbols. Keep going down, and you have the fourth component of Number Corner being solving problems. 2 types of problems that come up: adding, subtracting with decimals, and then pattern tasks. Both of these, it says, will help students make use of organized lists and searching for patterns, which are good problem-solving tools. So here are the PDFs of those problems to solve if you have some time to get to any of that. Then another good component of October Number Corner is making use of problem strings, where you start with one problem that then lends itself to this problem, that then lends itself to this problem. When I've worked through these Bridges problem strings, I tend to split these up into not just one day, because this is a lot of problems to get to in one day. So here is the problem string number 1. You can enlarge that for yourself to see it better, but this one is fractions in terms of money. So you're going to say, okay, I have a fourth of $1, and then I have another half of $1. How much do I have total? And you're thinking about it in money to be able to add with unlike denominators and show that you can find a solution. And then the second problem string is solving fraction problems by making use of clocks. And how can we do that? So here's the template to make use of, and the kids could use it too as you go through some of those problems together. So there is Number Corner October.